No laughing, meeting's beginning, no laughing. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Sunbury Services Committee meeting for November 5th, 2025. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Keppel.
Here.
Mayor St. John.
Right here.
Ms. Strayer. Yes. Mr. Grumney is absent tonight. 3 present. We have quorum.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes from our October 1st meeting. Second by Mayor St. John. Roll call.
Mr. Keppel.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Ms. Strayer. Yes. 3 yeas. Minutes passed.
All right, and then on to the agenda. We're going to start off tonight with State Streets for All, and Mr. Daryl Woolman from Verdantis is here to give us the presentation. Go ahead.
Appreciate it. Hey, everybody, Matt Megan. Nice to meet you. I've met you before. Nice to see you again. So we've got a little presentation here queued up. Do I need to speak to the microphone for the recording or?
It would be helpful. You can also pick it up if it's helpful.
Yeah, if you're going to move around, just, hold it. Yep.
Already loud enough as it is. Look at that. Cool. And it's a PDF, so I apologize for the have to scroll as I thought. So we did the roadway safety action plan for the city of Sunbury as part of the grant program for the Safe Streets and Roads for All SS4As, I'll call it this evening. It was a grant for, you can scroll to it. So it was a grant for $150,000 from the Federal Highway Administration. So 120 with a local match of 30 for completion of the roadway safety action plan. We applied for grant 2023. We're awarded at the end of the year. We started work last summer, which feels like a long time ago and also very close at the same time. By agreement, we need to get out this thing by the end of the year, so end of next month. We need to get adopted by council. We've already gotten the thumbs up by our highways that it looks good. So they don't actually check it for content. They check it for the components of the agreement that we'll go over here momentarily. So they've given us the thumbs up. All we got to do is have you folks look at it, get it approved, and we can start working on funding, which was the entire purpose of this, right? So we don't want to plan just a plan. We work through this with the intent of identifying projects to make the road safer. Take those identified projects that have been analyzed through data analysis and public engagement, to then go out and find funding for the construction projects, which is the real purpose of this. Make road safer via construction. Excellent, please. Thank you. So those components I talked about, the 7 required components of the Federal Highway Administration Roadway Safety Action Plan. This is memorialized by agreement with Federal Highways, so we have to touch on these and do this kind of analysis. We'll go through each one individually, talk about it very quickly. I don't want to bore you guys push to sleep with in-depth speaking on each one. However, I'm happy to answer any question that anyone has to go deeper if you'd like. The first one there is the leadership commitment and goal setting, which council did last year when the grant was received. It essentially sets a goal. I don't want to say arbitrary because that makes it sound like nobody cares, but it is sort of arbitrary goal in the sense that the city said, I think it was 2040, 20 for eliminating roadway fatalities. So that is non-binding, which means that Federal Highways doesn't come back in 2041 and say there was fatality, we're taking this money back. No, they want to show that the communities are engaged and involved and that this matters to them. So council passed that as the leadership commitment, and then we set goals as part of the steering committee, which we'll talk about momentarily. 5 goals there: supporting a range of mobility options, creating a transportation system where all users feel safe, institute engagement-driven solutions in support of Mission Zero, addressing specific design flaws to make the network safer, and addressing dangerous driver behavior and actions. You see Vision Zero there, which I forgot to touch on. Safe Streets and Roads for All. The Roadway Safety Action Plan is based on Vision Zero, which is adopted by Federal Highways, that essentially says we want to eliminate roadway fatalities and serious injuries from our transportation network. Under the system, essentially, that traffic crashes are unavoidable. Humans make mistakes. We need to design our roadways better so that when crashes do happen, nobody is seriously injured or killed. So the planning structure, I talked about the steering committee. This is the steering committee. So the agreement says there must be some kind of structure to guide the plan forward and ensure that it's getting done in an appropriate manner. That box will be checked. So the steering committee you see up here, of which these folks here around who work on that steering committee. So those of you who are on the committee all throughout the room who helped out with this plan. We met almost monthly to go over the direction of the plan, talk about what we're going to do next. present data, present our analysis, and figure out, at the end of this, kind of what projects we're selecting, for funding. I would call this the one of two most important parts of the plan, safety analysis. Actually, since I'm part of the plan right there, I wrote this. So it's a robust and deep dive into the data of traffic crashes. So what we looked at as part of this plan was 10 years of historical traffic crash data from 2014 through 2023, which at the time was the last year that was fully available since we started 2024. We don't look at those and just say, oh, throw them on a map like we did here, and that's it, that's where the crashes are. We look at it through all different lenses in all different ways. We look at them in terms of vulnerable users, the motorcycle riders, the pedestrians, the bicyclists, so the young folks, all the older folks. We look at behaviors, is there drunk driving, is there speeding, is there distracted driving? We do look at location to see where a concentration of crashes occurs. We also look at the type of crashes that occur. We have a lot of roadway or left turn crashes, for example. If you go out on 36, where there's a lot of curb cuts, you may get some left turn crashes there. But there are a lot of rear end crashes, a lot of head-on crashes, other crashes where folks are running off the road and hitting something. Is there a specific area where there's a lot of injuries relative to the other parts of the city? So we do all this analysis through all different means, trying to figure out what is the high injury network, which is the smallest percentage of roadway that makes up the largest percentage of injuries, fatalities. That is one of the hearts of the roadway safety action plan for the federal highways. That's how they define it. So the high injury network is what essentially establishes the area that we're looking for to make safer. Now we do throughout this plan make some general recommendations to make the overall roadway network safer. But the central piece of the plan is the high injury network and the contours that we developed there. And here's just kind of a map of the high injury network. So for your identification there, we looked at 36 out here. And one thing I will point out, as you can see it clearly on this map, is the study area for the plan was not just the city. We extended it to some of the township areas adjacent to the city as well, simply because they are so integral into the roadway safety of the community. For example, Carter's Corner and 36 there, that intersection is really important to the community. There's a potential chance that one day it may be within the city, even if it's not, it's still in the township. We want to make sure that we're working together with the township and the county for roadway safety improvements to make that safer for everybody. Because at the end of the day, a lot of folks who live in Sunbury here and go out for work, they're either coming down here or they're going up 36 to 71. So a lot of residents who work here attached to that intersection daily want to make sure it's safe. So the 36 corridor was really important. The square, the intersection of 61 and Route 3, 37 East, which although most of it wasn't in the city for a lot of this planning process, or a lot of the kind of investigation window of the crashes, it's in the city now, so we want to deal with it. There are kind of a lot of dangerous crashes out there, and given the lack of lighting, the rural nature, you get a lot of animal crashes, a lot of folks running off the road. So we looked at that really closely. And then Miller and 36 here, we felt that was really important because the proximity to a couple schools, there's a lot of cross traffic. We wanted to make sure we're getting out to look at the crashes and make some really good recommendations to make that safe, because so many cars pass through that every day. So as part of that safety analysis, that's that 10 years of data, topology and causative factors. We also worked with and looked at data from the police department. So we looked at their traffic citation data to see where there might be hotspots there. If there's like an area where there's a lot of speeding, we want to target that for some countermeasures to reduce speeding. We looked at EMS and ESTG response data to see if there's any kind of policy recommendations we can make. And there was not. So we looked at the response data. There wasn't much we can do with it. The responses perhaps all really good. So they didn't really give us any information. But we felt it was good to look at. That's when I talk about data limitations there. That can be part of it. We can get some kind of data like that response data and think it's going to be really great. But in the end, we have it and it's in the plan, but nothing really comes of it. So I have this table here, 3.2, just to show you for your information, kind of the crashes we looked at over that 10-year period. 5 fatal crashes over that 10-year period, 17 serious injury and 99 minor injury out of a total of 914 crashes over that time frame. Understanding that some of those crashes occurred in the study area, not necessarily in the city. So they might have been in the city when they occurred for part of the study area.
This is all of Delaware County or Sunbury?
Sunbury, parts of it outside of the city, some of the township areas, you want to go back to that map. I can kind of point out, so like, you can see this dotted line here, the black dotted line is the city limits. But the entire raised area is the study area, so you have some areas out here toward Carter's Corner and 36 that were included in the study, but not in the city. Kind of some of the enclave areas near 61 that aren't. I want to say those are probably the only two, in a little piece right here near 37 East. That was not in the cities, just to make it whole, make it usable. We didn't want to leave out crashes that they happen in a little exclave that we didn't track. They're all kind of related.
That's those numbers on the following page. Gotcha.
Yes. So is another component of the plan, engagement, collaboration with the community is really, really important. Engagement is crucial for everything we do in plan, but it's actually required with this as well. So we did a couple of really neat things. We worked with the school district on some messaging, getting information out to their students and their families. We did some really cool stuff with some of the third graders where we went in and talking about road-based signs, how to recognize signs, not just because it's not just a stop sign because it's a stop, for example, it's because it's red, it's because it's not legal, and we played some games with them. So we got some really good engagement that way. And also had a little bit of fun too. We did a survey, you may have seen that we pushed out, gosh, I think it was over the winter now, last winter that is, to get some information from folks as to what they think it feels dangerous within the study area, how they get around town, their perceptions, those kinds of things. Just pushing out all the ways we can to make sure we're hearing folks. We were on the bike path one day last fall, trying to talk to some folks. We had passed on some flyers, we had an open house here in this building, trying to get some folks in here. So all kinds of ways to try and speak to as many people about this plan and get their input. Because at the end of the day, the data tells us a lot, the steering committee tells us a lot, but it's the residents and visitors who experience that transportation network daily, so we understand how they're experiencing it and know that there are some things that they can tell us we might not necessarily. Just some kind of more what I talk about. Oh, photos up there. So there's us with the students down there in one of the schools and some of our team talking to folks on the bike path. We also were at the homecoming game last year, which I will tell you, folks don't care about us at the homecoming game. They only care about watching the team play. So I think we spoke to 3 people that night. We had a great time, but nobody was there for us, unfortunately. And we did learn a valuable lesson there, if nothing else, that football game is not a great place to do planning engagements. So we did a policy analysis as part of the requirements and looked at what we could change. The good thing about Sunbury is that there's some really good policies in place. I'm not just saying next to from here, but we didn't have to do a whole lot of digging because there's sort of a dedication to ensuring that the roadway network is safe, that there's complete streets. They're constantly looking at their policy. So we did look at it, we produced a policy report to talk about things that we could change. But there wasn't a lot for us to change, which is makes our life easier actually. So this is a data analysis for the second most important thing. This is the most important thing here. This is our project selection portion. So we take that high injury network and we sit down as a group of a steering committee and say, okay, let's learn about countermeasures. Let's even the field so we all understand what they are. Just so we all know in this room, a traffic safety countermeasure, anything you implement that can make the transportation network safer in some way, reduce crashes, reduce injuries, reduce fatalities. Crashes or countermeasures can be anything from a brand new roundabout all the way down to driver's education, everything in between. It can be new signage, it can be flyers, it can be a traffic enforcement unit. Even that little trailer out there, if you have one that tells people how fast they're going, that can be a countermeasure. So we talk about that, kind of brought us up to it. You even feel this is steering committee, and then when to work and determine which countermeasures worked for which part of the traffic network and how well they would do. And then once we have that list of countermeasures, we literally sat around the map and had strips of paper with countermeasures on them and the data and stuck them in tiers and said, where does this one fit? Where does this one fit? I think there were 20 countermeasures altogether. We put them in 4 tiers. It's not to say that tier 4 is the least important, it's still a priority. We're going to try and rank which ones were the highest priority when we go for Monday. So if you go to the next slide, I think I've got representation of that there, and I do. So it won't surprise anybody to know that number 1, actually this is an order that's not in order, unfortunately. It's a mistake on my part. But we did look at those. We did kind of rank them. If you want to go back here for a second, I can parse out what we had in first there. On the square, looking at traffic signal synchronization was really important. I think that ended up being a general recommendation, syncing all the traffic signals throughout the city, not just on the square there. Looking at Bellingham there, 36, so roundabout was a tier one. Making sure that we make that road safer, especially given some development that could occur out there at some point. To make sure that folks passing through there are not in any danger. We did traffic observations as part of this, and we parked at that church and watched on like Thursday, I think it was, at like 3 o'clock. And the number of buses I saw coming through there and made a left turn was terrifying. I don't have kids, but I was scared for kids from the bus, but I can't imagine being a bus driver and having to cross traffic like that turn. So really important to kind of look back at that, taking care of it in coordination with partners, right? And that's a big thing too. As we talk about this, we'll see a table here later. It's an implementation table. We look at the partners in this. It's not just the city, it's not just the county, it's not just hand in hand. It's ODOT, it's federal highways, it's USDOT, it's all the partners we can find to make things happen. Either funding or just partnerships to get things moving. Because as we know, sometimes things move slow. The higher you get up in the funding world. Let's go to the next one down. Doesn't get it. And one more, yeah. So here is the map that demonstrates where the private projects are at based on location. We have the 5 high injury network areas displayed here. And then we have the countermeasures that we recommended. We decided upon as a steering committee for each area. As you can see, some jump out at you pretty quickly that you would expect, like roundabout here at 61 when it runs at 36, right? Okay, we kind of knew that would be a recommendation, but there's smaller ones too, like the 37 East Forward Road, rumble strips on the side of the road, right? Or guardrails. When we look at those crashes, we see a lot of folks run off the road. What's a simple solution? Well, we're putting some rumble strips out there along the side. It's a real cheap solution, and somebody really save lives. Someone's dozing off, or heaven forbid they're intoxicated, that can wake them up just enough to keep them from running off the road, hurting themselves quick, that will hurt someone else. Looking at an overall sense, but especially on 36 at Miller Bear access management is really important. This development comes in, making sure that there's access management plan, so we're not, seeing 100 curb cuts along the road, because that can be quite dangerous. Looking at lighting, traffic approaches, traffic signal synchronization, timing, all these kinds of stuff that seemingly are not related, all related in one sense that they reduce injuries and fatalities in transportation. Finally, progress and transparency. So the last requirement of federal highways is something that they want to see an idea of how we're going to track this moving forward. They're not saying we have to do it. If we get here down the road and nobody's tracking it, again, they're not coming back and saying, give the money back, they're not tracking it properly. But they want a framework in place that says, hey, we're going to at least try and go back and look at this. We're at least going to get a group of folks together, try and update this thing periodically, track our progress, see what we're constructing, see if we can use this plan. So as part of this meeting, maybe yearly, for example, to make sure that we're meeting the requirements of the plan. And I know you're obviously they're really good there. I'm not worried about that at all. They're great. Next one, please. So outcomes, really important stuff here. We'll have a balanced plan to go out and find funding, which is so important. But our highways checks off in this thing, which is great. To go out and find construction funding. We got a list of projects that are completed. They're breaking out by cost and effectiveness. The hierarchy of projects we talked about, so tier 1, 2, 3, 4. And then finally was funding sources. So looking at, there's a last round of Safe Streets implementation funding, for example, that comes out probably February, March, where we can try and take a project off this list and say we've got the data analysis, we've got the roadway safety action plan that's required. Let's go try and find a big project, right? Let's pick like a roundabout or something expensive and see if we can make a difference in our traffic safety, get this money from Safe Streets. Even if we don't get Safe Streets, there's all kinds of programs out there for ODOT. So there's a highway safety improvement program. 3 different types of that program based on the intensity of the project. Everything from smaller pedestrian level improvements that are not quite huge in funding scale that can be submitted all year, all the way up to major roadway improvements that must be submitted once a year and reviewed officially, and then that money gets doled out. So there's ways at the state level to make sure we can get money to do things. And that HSIP program, I think just debuted in like 2020 or 2019. This is grown every year. So every year, the state of Ohio throws more money at it. It's been so successful in improving roadway safety that they really just want to keep growing this thing and keep making things happen. And even outside of that, you know, transportation safety laws be a policy hallmark of any administration, even with changes at the federal level. We expect to see some kind of DOT program to replace this that'll deal with construction. So we have this plan now. Now we can go out and find funding to whatever program. We did do video vision cameras as well. I think I want to touch on real quick. You may have seen them out and about around town. Posted like Charity and Miller, for example. What we did with those is they are cameras that can determine turning radius or turning counts, rather traffic counts, speed, the near misses, which is when folks, you know, a car almost hits another car, or you know, maybe pedestrians almost get hit by a car. So track that, quantify some really great information. So those reports are being compiled now. Those will be appendix to this roadway safety action plan to give Darrell and his team more information to go out so they're funded. This is really cool stuff I wanted to touch on a little bit. So this is just some of the kind of data we see. I've got a little long into, so I don't want to bore anybody here any longer, but this is the data it captures through reports, turning movements and that kind of thing. The data didn't fit, unfortunately. So this is the final, this is kind of the big slide here. Let's get it built, right? This is what's in the plan. This is a implementation matrix. It shows all the different projects we have, the different funding opportunities that are available, and when those funding opportunities come up. So it gives us a roadmap as to how we can go out and do things to make it happen. It's going to be integral in making sure that we can not only go out and apply for funding, but apply for it in a meaningful way, in an efficient way. You don't just want to first look at a wall and see if it sticks. That takes a lot of time to do. Right? Carla's very busy with this. So she can't keep throwing all the spaghetti at the wall. We got to be really, really strategic in what we select and how we go after things. So this can continue to support moving forward, not just through safe shoots, but through all programs to make sure we can just really, really point this. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I wanted to thank you, Darrell. This whole experience for me was really great. I thought that you and the rest of the Verdantis team had everything structured and set up in a way that those of us with zero knowledge of much of what we were talking about really were able to participate in a meaningful way. So I appreciate it. I think that the work that we've done here as a group puts us on a good trajectory, like you said, for funding, for safety projects in the future. Really happy to see it all come together. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here are slides. You'll see the full report and part of the council packet next time. So it'll have all the detail that Darrell's referencing.
That'll be at next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
I wanted to thank the steering committee. I purposefully did not volunteer myself for this particular committee. I'm very thankful. I just wanted to read off their names. I know Darrell Hennessy, Carla Odebrowski, Alyssa Graziano, Jake Stockmaster, Sean Wade, Damon Capel, Tim Gose, Jason Stotterman, Nancy Crawford, and Wendy Weiler. I mean, what a great cross section of our community, and just folks that I think are very in tune with the challenges we have, but also the opportunities. So yeah, great group that was helping guide this plan as well.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Street improvement plan design and OPWC. Speaking of funding.
Great, can you hear me?
No.
Good.
There it is. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thanks for pulling up the documentation. I want to talk a little bit about OPWC, so Ohio Public Works Commission funding. This is a grant fund that the city has approached year after year, primarily by going after it with our typical resurfacing our streets program. Some years we are awarded funding based upon how it scores, as it is weighed against other projects that are submitted through the District 17. So after last year, we did not receive funding for our streets program. So we had Mike Miller with Verdantis come in, and he gave us a breakdown to try and explain the funding, or sorry, to explain how the scoring works for OPWC. And with that, I had provided Verdantis, so Mike Miller and Bob Keeterly, a couple projects that were being considered to see what they felt would score the best. So I wanted to bring this project here, as this was the recommendation from Verdantis. So what we're looking at is the corner of East Cherry Street and South Morning Street. And it is a curve along Lady Liberty Park that frequently gets hit by tractor trailers and really multiple vehicles, so that we could try and find a solution to this intersection in a holistic way. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. That's why I have the circle around the intersection. I've got 4 different quadrants. Or can you scroll down? So I've got the 4 different pictures of the curve. So Lady Liberty is here. You can see the sidewalk along the front is newer, but you can also see it's been scraped. The curb and the ramp has been repeatedly hit by vehicles. If you scroll down, because Google Street View has a few different images. This is from 2019 when it looks like the entire sidewalk section was replaced. And then scroll down one more. This is what it looked like in 2015. So this is a location that we are repeatedly having maintenance concerns, and we are constantly trying to track down the offenders that are hitting this curve. We have communicated with ODOT. There is a way to get permits to come through State Route 37 with a wide load trailer to see if there's anything that we can do to try and, one, deter wide loads from coming through, especially in this situation, but really just to make sure that they are aware that with the permitting that is happening, and sometimes unpermitted vehicles will come as well, we are having constant damage. So in some cases, we're able to find the culprit and track down a way to have them compensate or fix the curb. But in many cases, we don't know about it until after the damage is already done. So this is
Steel barricades that can be removed.
So one of the things that we'll do as part of the design is we will assess and look to see what all we could put in this location. So you're suggesting we look to see if we could put a barricade to basically damage the vehicles if they get too close.
Yes,
Yep, I mean, that is something that we can look at.
as an option.
Yes, to try and deter them from coming through that portion. We were thinking about looking at the curve radius to try and adjust it. It is a pretty sharp 90-degree, and it is going to be 90, but if we move the sidewalk a little bit further back from the edge and essentially make it a little bit smoother, adding an optimal curve, that's something that could prevent some of the damage. But at the same time, we do want to balance, the idea of, are we encouraging tractor trailers from coming through this location? One thing's for sure, we haven't been able to stop them from doing it yet, but if there is something that we can put up to try and stop this from happening, we would address it. Today, I believe there's a video out there. This pedestal here was taken out by a wide load, and it had one of those scout vehicles in front trying to get the wide load around, and they still managed to hit our infrastructure. So this is the primary corner that we'd like to focus on for the safety of intersection improvements. Certainly there's a financial component to the curb and the damage that's being done. There's also safety. I mean, it's sidewalks, so we know that people are likely avoiding this location, and then they can from the sidewalk. Concern. But we did want to look at the intersection holistically. or sorry, scroll up. Oh, okay. For the next photo. One more thing too is, yeah. Here's the second intersection, so that north west corner, we're gonna look at adjusting the curb ramp locations. There's also crossings at a very steep angle. We're gonna look at some of the site distances to see if it makes sense to maybe pull some of the crossing a little bit further back where the stop bar is as a potential solution. But in general, many of these corners are not up to ADA compliance. Let's scroll down. So this is the corner on the northeast side. Again, we'll be looking at the curb ramps here as well. Trying to make sure we can stay in the right of way and then line up with the other corner and scroll down. So the southeast side, this is the corner that is also on the same block as Garrison Park. We also have a future 37 widening project here. We're going to have a path that eventually connects to the Ohio to Erie Trail. We plan on this being a heavily trafficked area. And currently we have a sidewalk adjacent to the curb. You can see that it's been hit by tire marks over time. And we have a significant amount of right of way. So one of the suggestions here is to move that sidewalk on the other side of the poles so that we can remove it and make it feel safer for pedestrians. We happen to have a good amount of right of way in that area. And then we'll look at connecting these sidewalks to our J.R. Smith Park project, which will have sidewalk that continues down Cherry Street along the park side of the road, the south side. And then this sidewalk will also connect down to the path that will go around J.R. Smith Park and will eventually be a 10-foot wide shared use path once it connects. So these are the four intersections that I wanted to share. This is the application that is going to be submitted on Friday. For this group, I'm looking for support, but also awareness that this is going to be on the council agenda so that we can pass authority for the city administrator to apply for this grant, which is due on Friday.
I've said quite a few times before, I'm looking forward to us applying for a different project for OPWC. So I think this is a great idea.
Thank you. And I'll let you know where the scoring comes in and I'll be able to share where we ranked and hopefully we can continue to be strategic with our applications. The other document that I did want to point out is in your packet, but I don't have up here at the end of the picture. There's one more document that Daryl with Verdantis mentioned during the Safe Streets for All. Let's hold it up here for you guys. It has the list of projects from the Safe Streets for All action plan. I did reference the SS4A document in the application to strengthen it, as this project location is one of the priorities that was identified under the second category of tier 2 critical. Are there any questions about OPWC?
Yes. I may have missed this in the last 20 seconds because I was looking for it. Where's the detail with resolution 2025.27 with the, basically you're requesting we pass this tonight, correct? The resolution?
Just the resolution to pass so that we can submit the document to OPWC.
Is there any detail, like what we're submitting for, the dollar amount, that type of information? Maybe that's the part I missed.
So I didn't see what they provided.
Nothing.
But we do have some more information related to it. I don't have it here, but I can print out the application. You have a draft. I really should have a couple of crash data information that I can include before it's due on Friday.
Yeah, so I apologize for that. We did send it over as part of the drafting process, but unfortunately I did not get it attached here to this. So my recollection was, I think it's $100,000 in terms of the total request.
Yes.
80, yeah. So maybe just, I think that would be helpful for the mayor.
$1,000 for grant funding, $20,000 for loan, because we get points for applying for the loan, whether we repay it back in 15-year time period or not. The overall cost ended up being around $150,000, because I believe our share was in the $30,000 range, which also was within a percentage that allowed us to receive maximum points for our contribution.
So maybe for council, either pull up the application where we can all look at it, or just either you or Daryl can specifically talk about what you just said on the 80,000, grant, 20,000 loan, $100,000. I think that concept of like the grant loan application is something I think city council is used to hearing, and when we're applying and asking for an approval tonight, that'll help.
Engineers report, and I'll be able to pull up.
So thank you so much.
We'll move on to Kittner Crossing then.
Crossing, would you mind pulling up the two other documents? So this is one of the requests that was made in order to get give you guys some information about the timeline for all the construction that is happening over off of Kittner Parkway on the south side. We essentially have multiple phases of two different projects. The Kittner Crossing project development, which is townhomes and single family homes, being led by Theodore Horton. And then Kittner Commercial is the other phase, and I want to talk about some of the timelines for when we can start to see some of the major surface construction and maybe potentially see some buildings. Mine's starting with the other one.
The other one, sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Yep. So this one.
Only because it's further along. So Kittner Crossing, has been under construction for a while. Just to help you guys get oriented, I tried to put some street names on here. You can see Cherry Street, 3637 in this location. Kittner Parkway is located right here. You can also see an outline for where the Kittner Parkway is going to be on that northern side, which kind of helps give you an idea of what the construction will look like. Currently, they have broken it down into two different phases, phase one and phases two. And talking about the road network, just so you guys have an idea of when they're going to be doing their paving. If you look at the, we'll call it red candy cane markings, this phase one paving by the end of November 2025, they're actually going to start paving on Friday. At least that's their intent. So we have a construction inspector out there to be present during the construction of that road network. Phase two is not anticipated until October of 2026. With that, you can see some pink highlighted areas. Essentially, they do need some emergency access roads required for fire. VSP&G is aware of these locations and that they'll be installed in order to provide that necessary emergency access. I also put on this map a couple of the other projects that we have that we're trying to watch the construction and the timeline for, just to make sure we're not on top of each other as the construction is being done. You can see this green line is indicating the sanitary sewer line that is complete. This is going over to the existing pump station. We've already approved with the Ryder Company a project to upgrade that pump station. Right now, they're still tentatively looking to start in January, but we should have an update for you next month, as I believe they anticipate getting their parts and pieces in, and we'll have a pre-construction meeting, so I should be able to tighten up that date. The other item to point out, this Cheshire Ditch, the purple dotted line, CIPP, so tiered in place pipe lining, sewer lining project. Right now, we are under contract with Performance Pipeline and plan on having that lined in January. So on the holidays, we should have a good timeline for when that work will be complete. They actually think it'll only take about a week to get in there and be going. This box down at the bottom, this is kind of giving you an overview of what we're going to see at council tonight. Phase one kind of that at council, today, the airport will be here. They are requesting, emergency delay, at least the third reading, and I believe, they're going to speak on that request and their urgency. Yeah, and then it just describes, their reasoning for why they're hoping to have this, the plat pass here sooner rather than later. The very bottom item, they plan on starting to build patio homes and townhomes in January or February. But I believe that timeline hinges on when they can get, the plat approved through council. Before we go to the next, does anybody want to stick on this drawing? We can toggle back and forth. I mean, I think we can toggle back and forth. Big picture. Right, let's talk about control. Thank you. All right, so this is viewed a little bit. You can see Kidner Parkway here, where they'll be extending down, and then this commercial part is that frontage that extends all the way to, again, you can see it, but Cheshire Road comes up at that angle and hits at that yellow flashing light, which I'll touch on in a moment. But this will give you the timeline for accelerating their project as well. So they're looking at getting this green road installed from Kidner Parkway all the way to have at least emergency access onto Cheshire Road by the end of the year. So they're hoping to get pavement in so that they have the fire access as well. Their original plan, they were really hoping to be able to reroute Cheshire Road. We like to call this section that lines up with Hitachi Simo. In this location by the end of the year, but they're telling me now that they won't plan on being there to do that construction until the spring, the summer of next year. Once that road gets in, we do have the signal plan designed as well. Signal was warranted with the development that's happening for Kidner Crossing, and of course the commercial development that will be coming in. It takes about a year to get the signal poles in, so once we see the road get up to Cherry Street, we'll plan on looking to have a plan to get that signal installed. I'm anticipating that signal in 2027.
Just to clarify, we're not gonna make the road change without having a signal there, correct?
So
Sorry, and I'm talking about the across from Hitachi Astemo, the new road alignment that does not exist today.
yeah,
We're not gonna like open that up without a signal, correct?
the plan is not to open up that road, keep it closed. We also plan on keeping Cheshire Road, the existing Cheshire Road at the yellow flashing light, open in both directions until we have a better plan. If that plan changes or there's a plan to phase in some sort of access, it's something that I bring here to the group to make sure that we're in agreement. But the best plan is to wait until we have the signal operational, and then we plan on taking that yellow flashing light out, putting in a workshop. So we can only, it'll be a one-way from essentially Voss Brothers on to the north, and you can only turn right out. There will be no access left onto Cheshire Road as you go westbound, and we plan on having a barricade, bollards, deterrent in order to make sure that that movement is eliminated, because they'll now have access at a signal that lines up with Hitachi.
So a question, I'm sure everybody's already thought about this, but we're now gonna have like two different Cheshire roads. It already is kind of funky when you head west anyways, but.
Yep.
Can somebody think about like how the naming convention and what that looks like for that little chunk?
It's definitely a conversation we had a little bit, because there are homes that are currently on Cheshire Road, and we've been referring to this redirected section as the new Cheshire. Whether or not we want to rename a portion and then impact residents and any businesses that have that, we have spoken about it, we just haven't landed on exactly what that ends up being.
Thank you.
Can you pull up the, one of the pictures, please? They're in the packet. They're actually pretty cool. We got some drone footage. So this is the construction that has been happening over there at Whittier Crossing. I think this, really indicates, you know, that basically you can almost see the map there. You can see where those, parcels are going to be for the single family homes. Just to get you oriented, the Kittner, parkway is actually a little further off this screen. I have another picture we can show you. But on the other side of these homes, this is Cheshire Ditch around that tree line, and then there's a road right here. That's where Cheshire Road is located. So basically, down in this area, we're talking about Cherry M3637. So, yeah, this shows the road network and all the different construction sites that have been out there. Staff code doing underground work, but also prepping multiple sites as they get ready to start installing the road network for section 1. Pull one and the other. Yeah, so this gives you an idea of where the existing Kittner Parkway ends, right next to Hitachi's Wellness Center. And you can see that road that will extend down. You can also see the beginning of where Kittner Commercial's road access will come just south of that existing development. Any questions about this?
Right, thank you. Next is 2025 street improvement plan in Columbus Street parking lot.
Yep, I'll just stay right up here and we'll continue with.
Sounds good.
Update. I don't have any pictures, here, we'll go for the rest of my presentation. These are just some project updates. However, my engineers report in the council packet does have some pictures of the wastewater treatment plant. If you get a chance to take a look. For the 2025 street improvement plan, we did have a street that was delayed due to the Columbia Gas relocation project that was on Hill Street. Decker came back and was milled that street out and has paved it. So the paving portion is complete for the streets program. Griffin has also been in to place the paint markings on the existing plan, but also they're working with us on a few other spots around town. So limiting the parking on the north side of Cherry Street, just to the east of Vernon Street. And moving along from the street improvement plan, the Columbus Street parking lot. Construction is coming along well. They tell me they are still on track to have the surface and lot available around Thanksgiving time period. So the paper installation date is still to be determined, but obviously it's got to be in the next couple of weeks. There's a possibility they could be using some specialized equipment that lays the papers out automatically instead of doing it by hand. So if that's the case and you're interested, let me know and I'm happy to share when that work will be going on. I have a current receipt to it because the project is occurring right outside of the window. And I think they've been doing a great job and it's very tight. I'm also planning on meeting with the Saks residents that live adjacent to the parking lots to talk about the feasibility skating that will be along their site. Any questions?
No.
The wastewater treatment plant expansion, as I mentioned, I've got some pictures of the engineers report. That project is coming along. I did a before and after picture, so you can see that 30-foot hole for the overland digesters is now all the way to where the surface is going to be. Very impressive. They got some drone footage, so happy to share that during the engineers update here at the next meeting, but they so far are on schedule. And maybe a little bit ahead of schedule. The other item that you can see is under construction in the pictures is the tertiary, which is adjacent to the. And with that, I just wanted to share a look ahead for December, or if you guys have any items that you'd like me to add to December's meeting, please let me know. But I am planning on talking about a capital improvement program, and then kind of winding up development progress and projects as some of the construction will winterize. Also as 2026 look ahead for construction projects, and we'll have Jake Stockton here to talk about some.
Right. Excellent. Thank you, Philip. Any other questions?
No questions.
All right,
Great update.
then I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second by Mayor St. John. Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
3 yeas, we are adjourned.